Welcome, everybody, to Write Better Together. I'm Jon Meyers. Hey, look, everybody, it's Emily Brooks.
Hello, Jon Meyers. And hey, look, everybody, it's Bob Saenz.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my goodness.
Hello.
You're going to have to let Emily out of the closet now because this is your last episode. Emily will be back, and we'll live happily ever after.
We called an Uber for her. She gets to go home.
Does Rocket bark?
He'll miss her. Rocket will miss her desperately.
Does Rocket bark when...
She always had salmon in her pocket for him.
It's quite the scenario you've created. You must be a writer. Does Rocket bark when an Uber pulls up?
Yes.
How about...
He barks when an Uber doesn't pull up.
How about when a mailman?
Yeah, he barks when people walk across the street.
Is your mail's at the street, right? It's not on your house.
No, it's at the street.
So I just read this article, and then you can tell us what we're going to talk about today. I read this article that said more mailmen have been bit in this last year, and it's grown exponentially in the last 5 years. So like more this year than ever before. And then last year, it was 22% higher than last year. That year was 15% higher than the year before. That year was 12% higher than the year before. It's crazy that dogs are biting mailmen more.
Well, I think it's only because mailmen are getting tastier.
Yeah, okay. And they have salmon in their pocket.
That's
I think in my case, it's we don't have the same mailman. And we used to have the same one, so the dog would get used to it, right? But that's not how they do it. At least in my neighborhood, that's not how they do it anymore. You never know who the mailman's going to be on any given day.
You had the same person, and you got to know him, and then Christmas time, you give him a bottle of wine or whatever.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
Well, we have quite the list.
Yay.
We're going to talk first how we got out of our bubble.
Yes.
Then we're going to do a viewer response because you are a viewer response person.
I am.
We're going to do an interview with Carlo Dall'Olmo.
Oh, my goodness.
You're going to find fascinating and interesting. He's the founder of the Phoenix Screenwriter Association. He's going to talk about what it's like to have writing communities and a few other things. And then we're going to do Hey Jon Meyers.
Yay.
And I'm going to ask you a question you cannot answer.
Oh.
And then we're going to do the final...
Final act.
Final act. Not final. I mean, I'll be back.
And you, that's true. Even when you're a guest, that we still play a game with you sometimes because you love games so much.
Oh, and I am just thrilled with it.
You said I'm not going to be able to answer the question. I think you're going to be. I think your life experience will help you win this game this time.
We'll see.
We'll find out. How'd you get out of your bubble?
I drove to Nashville and took my wife to 2 doctor's appointments.
Yes.
And afterwards, we went out and had a lovely, wonderful lunch together at 2 different places that were very, very good. And just had it was almost like I was taking her out on a date, except she had to go see a doctor first.
Well, that's good. That's for people watching. That's good first date practice. Take them to the doctor on the way to the first date, and then you have all your bases covered.
So she's so it was a nice. We had some very nice meals out, and then I not much else other than I went to the. And you know this because I called you. I went to the Amish meat market and picked up the really good Amish farm meat.
Yes,
I buy instead of buying from the grocery store.
Wonderful. If only you had stopped by the mailbox where I was dumping all these mailbox hints about the mailman earlier.
I stopped by the mailbox. Would you like to know what I got?
Yeah, but that's not a story going to the mailbox.
You know,
What happened? What did you get in the mail? Some green envelopes?
No, they're not green. They're white.
Why are they not green?
They're white.
Because they're not WGA.
No.
Ah. All right.
These are
What's
the
in them,
same.
man?
So let's see how much money I made
Since the last episode when you made
since the
16
last
cents.
episode. This is for our Nash Bridges.
Oh, interesting.
And it is a check for
Yes.
$2.29.
Holy moly. That didn't pay for your lunch, though.
This is another check that's in there.
Uh-huh.
And this is one that says I got video DVD I made money for, but it says basic cable, Nash Bridge, gross amount, 0. Which is interesting. And this one is for $2.90.
Oh, that's bigger than the other one.
Between the two of them, I made $6.
Do you know why the gross is 0?
Why?
Because the gross on the spreadsheet that's gonna show whoever that is, don't say who it is, they're minimizing the gross that's still happening from that project, and so it'll be a loss, right? It'll be 0 gross, and then the net will be negative $30,000 or whatever.
Whatever. So people can't make any profit. So anyway,
correct. So
I made a little over $5 this week in residuals.
You're gonna
need out there. That's a fortune.
You're gonna need the prize. You're gonna need to win this game with the prize.
If it's not if it's another banana,
a moldy banana. What else?
So how did you get out of your bubble this week?
Oh, I did get out of the bubble. I tried to call you from when I got out of my bubble, and you wouldn't pick up.
That's not true. I did pick it up, and all I heard was people yelling and screaming.
Well, I went to, in my undisclosed location, so don't slip and say the name of the town. I went to the 40th anniversary of the formation of the band Government Cheese. Why did I go? Because the Government Cheese is great, but I was there. I don't know how this is possible since I'm the same age as Emily, but I was there 40 years ago at the MTV premiere of their first video on MTV, and I stood right next to Tommy Womack. And and there's a scene. This was in Face to Face where he's doing a guitar solo in front of all these hubcaps and everything, and he leans over to me and goes, "That's not even the notes I'm playing," and then he walked away like I was the one he had to tell that to 40 years ago. So this was the 40th anniversary of them, and I will show you how close I was. We talked
they are one of the great bands in existence.
They are also, I cannot think of another example of the 5 original people from 40 years ago are still the 5 original people. They're still the same 5 people.
That's amazing.
40 years later. That's so amazing. I will show you. We've both been in the third row of the Ryman before, but that's far back for me. Normally I'm not that far back. This is how close. I'll put a bigger picture up on the screen. That's how close I am.
Wow.
There's no one. But wait, you want to think?
Where did you see him? Where did you go to see him?
It was at a park. It was, and I'll show you the size of the crowd too. You think that was close? I was that close, man. I could have grabbed his ankle and pulled him across the barricade.
Yeah, I don't think you want to do that. That gets you thrown out.
There was some hot girl next to me, so that's why he kept jumping up on the on the amplifier so that he could sing at her. And look how many people were there, man. I'll put it up on the screen, but look,
people, that's pretty good.
People as far as you can see. So that's what I did, and apparently my phone wanted you to hear part of it because it called you.
Yes, it did. It called me right in the middle of the concert.
The funny thing is they give away oven mitts to the far. There's a big long story that I'm not going to tell here. To the people from the farthest away. There are people from Florida. There are people from Canada. There's people from Michigan, who all came to this reunion thing, and they all got autographed oven mitts. How about that?
I like that. You should have told them you came from, New Zealand or something.
But I did not. So anyway, that's what I did, and it was wonderful. And you also the other advantage of being that close to that's in all my concerts, unless they make me sit like at the Ryman, that I'm in that exact same spot. I'm to the left of the stage, or stage right to them, and
Right.
I'm as far close as you can be, whether it's Tessa Violet or Dodie or whoever it is. That's my spot. And there, you think you saw that sea of humanity. You think I'm going to be around all those germy people? No, I'm up front where there's no germs up front.
Except from the band.
Well, true. He could have spit on me.
So what was our viewer response this week?
Oh, viewer response. It's funny that
I trust it wasn't from my wife again.
No. It's interesting when people because we get people that have never didn't know who we were 2 weeks ago or whatever, right? And so then they go back and watch the old episodes, so they respond to old episodes. And in this case, it's someone who does know who we are, and they went back and responded to an old episode. It was the episode with Emily Norman, voice over artist, audiobook narrator, Emily Norman.
Oh, that was a good one.
Too Many Emilys was the name of that episode, I think, because we just had Emily's coming out of our ears. Yeah, that was it. Thank you. That was a very good one. And as I'm pulling up the viewer response, so you're familiar with David Corbley.
David Corbley is a friend of mine, yes.
He has he went back and watched the Emily Norman interview, and she's also from Norman, Oklahoma. So she's Emily Norman from Norman.
From Norman, yeah, okay.
David Corbley. What do you like about David Corbley?
I like his quiet personality.
He's very deliberative.
Yes, he is.
I like
He's
him.
also very quiet about it.
He's very helpful.
Yes.
He likes to serve others.
Yes.
David Corbley has this to say. Just wanted to say I loved the interview with Emily Norman. Not only did she teach me a lot about audiobook narration that I didn't know, but she also gave poignant reminders about big things that are easy to forget. Number 1, only do what you love and what works with the life you want to live. That's pretty good advice.
I like
2, be a constant learner and pay to learn from the best teachers.
Okay.
3, be prepared.
Yeah, okay.
4, pace yourself. 5, value your talents and charge accordingly.
I agree with that 100%.
I agree with that as well. We talked about before on a subsequent episode when someone else responded to her episode, and she is so busy with her voice narration business that she doesn't even take solicitations for clients. She goes to Amazon, she looks at their reviews, she sees if there's an audiobook, and if they're positive reviews and there's a lot of them, she'll reach out to that author and say, hey, here's my portfolio. This is what I charge. I'm the best of the best. And she gets the job. She has a waiting list longer than she can handle. And she finds her own clients.
Listen, if you're going to try and be in a creative business, and I'm talking about the business end of it, where you need to make money to make a living to pay your electric bill, then you have to be proactive. You can't just sit around and wait for people to come and pay you for your creativity, because that's never going to happen, ever. You have to be able to go out there and find people and get yourself known and sell what you do best. Absolutely, I admire that greatly. I think that is a really cool thing for her to do, and I like that she does that. I did a I had a bunch of people on Facebook yesterday, and we talked a lot about writing for free, which I discourage greatly.
And so so I'll put a link to that episode in there, and because she talks about valuing your time. She also talks about aligning. She's never going to pick a client that she doesn't want to work with, right? And so when she used to get approached, she'd be like, no, I wouldn't narrate that book in a million years. And she actually talks about that in that episode. And that's also a good way to be when you don't have.
I've turned down work. I've turned down jobs for rewrite jobs or write for hire jobs with different subject matters that weren't for me. Absolutely. I always tell them very nicely, I'm not the person for you. I'm not the person for this job. I wouldn't give you the kind of job that you need to make this work for you.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do that.
100%.
Cool. So, Carlo Dall'Olmo was a Southern California guy, and he was a Southern California screenwriting guy who moved to Phoenix in the early 2000s for a lot of different reasons. But when he got there, he saw a opportunity to start a community of screenwriters. And unlike other people who look at things and say, gee, wouldn't it be cool if there was a community of screenwriters? He did something about it. And he actually founded the Phoenix Screenwriters Association. I met him because when it was a few years ago, when the Phoenix Screenwriters Association wasn't quite as big as it is now, when he contacted me after I had written an article for Script Magazine, and he had asked me if I would write an article for their newsletter. And I said, absolutely, I'd be happy to. And we got to know each other, and then they had a one-day seminar. And they said, we know this is a outside chance that you're going to do this, but could you come and speak? And I went, absolutely, I'd be happy to. So I went to Phoenix and speak, and so I've been 3 times. And all of it comes from the incredibly wonderful leadership of Carlo. I wanted the two of you to meet, but I also wanted to get him on here to have him talk about writing communities, because I think they're immensely important. Just for people to be able to communicate with each other so that they're not trying to do one of the hardest things in the world, which is to get a screenplay done by themselves. And they can do it in a group. And not write it in a group, but be in a group that has similar needs and beliefs and similar dreams. It all helps. So this is Carlo Dall'Olmo.
And we're back. Bob has already introduced Carlo. Normally, you'll watch a podcast with a writer or an author, or in this case, a conference organizer, and they'll save the lightning round for the end. But I'm going to jumpstart this whole thing with a lightning round. I'm going to give you 3 names, and I want you to just say your gut response to those 3 names. Well, I'll give you 2 one at a time, just really fast, a sentence or 2, and then I'm going to let Bob give you 3 names after you go through my 3 names. So you have a whole maybe 30 seconds to prepare for this, Bob. Here we go. First name, Christopher Lockhart.
Great speaker, great presenter. We had him on 2 months ago. Great guy too.
Lee Jessup.
Another wonderful speaker, very knowledgeable, and just a sweetheart.
She can cram an hour's worth, 2 hours worth of presentation into an hour or 2. By how fast she speaks.
She's super helpful. We talked about this on the episode with Jean. Lee is just so super helpful. And the last name from me, Bob Saenz.
Wow. How much time do I have got? He is an awesome writer, awesome presenter. We've never had anything but great things said about him. And that's not just because he's sitting right to my right, I guess, right? Right or left or right. I don't know. He's not just sitting here, but that's in general. That's just everything I've heard and everything I've seen.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
See how that lightning gets faster?
I don't have three names.
Yeah,
but
you do.
I will say Bill True.
Bill True has been a phenomenal speaker and has been awesome with helping Phoenix screenwriters. So nothing but great things to say about him.
Yeah, he's a pretty amazing human being. I don't know if you know him or not, John. But
I know. I know of him. The reason I said you'd have three names is because you were there this year and I wasn't, and so Danny's another one.
Danny Manis was there, and he did a panel with Lee and Christopher that I didn't get to see because I was
Tales from the Trenches. Yeah, Tales from the Trenches was just about their start in the business, and yeah, just very knowledgeable, and that's just a great person. I've also had him out in the past too for other classes.
So what I'd like to talk about, what I'd like to ask you about is, you've been a screenwriter for many, many years. You were a screenwriter well before the Phoenix Screenwriters Association existed. Tell me about what it was that spurred you to create such an amazing group. I speak at conferences and at film festivals across the country, and the quality of people that you have there in Phoenix, and the enthusiasm and the camaraderie and the friendship that I see at your events, and I've been to more than one, is astounding and really kind of super to see, as groups of people who really are interested in one thing, and that's screenwriting, are able to get together and just communicate and network together. It's amazing and great. So what brought it on? What was the thing that made you want to do this?
For me, well, so to make a short story long or long story short, however you want to do it, I came out to Arizona with my family in 2008 after the whole housing crash, and I had been in writing writing and that was always my passion since I can remember. When I first got married back in 2004 until about 2008 or not, yeah, 8, I kind of fell out of it for a little bit. Before that, I was writing all the time. I was really into it, and just life happens, and I fell out of touch with it. When we finally decided that we were going to stay in Arizona for kind of the indefinite time, I said, okay, I want to get back into the community and into the creative community. I always remembered how it was in college. You had your friends, you hung out with your friends, you did, there was always something going on. And I kind of fell out of that. And I wanted to kind of get that feeling back again, even though that never actually ended up happening. But and then I thought, well, how can I do this? I'm new. I can join a club. And I'm like, I'm not much of a club joiner. I'm really not.
You started one.
Yeah. I would not want to have somebody, I would not want to be a part of a club that has me in it, so that.
Groucho Marx, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But then I'm like, well, because because my thinking behind it was, okay, so I could do all this stuff and I could help them out, but then it's always theirs. It's not mine. Kind of selfish. But so then I'm like, okay, I'll start my own. And at first it was supposed to be kind of a writer's team. The original concept was, okay, get people together who want to write as partners. And it was also supposed to be kind of a social outlet as well, that we chat, talk about our different projects we're working on, what have you. And then that was okay for a little bit, but I started noticing that more and more people really didn't want to join as teams. They wanted just to write as them, by themselves. And then one day I'm sitting at home and I read an article by Richard Walter, and I didn't know who he was at the time. I just read this article and it was a really good article. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was a good article, and it prompted me to actually respond to him. And I just said, "Hey, this is a really cool article. Thank you." And I don't usually do that. I don't usually respond to people. And then I just made this flippant request. I'm like, "Hey, if you're ever out in the Arizona area, I run this little writers group, would love to have you out." And didn't think the guy was going to respond. Within about 15 minutes, the guy responded. Said, "Thank you, Carlo, for the wonderful words. And I love Arizona. Would love to come out." And then I said, "Oh, crap. Now I just committed myself to something." So yeah.
The things that happen that spur things on are pretty amazing.
Yeah. And so I think that there was a little bit of divine intervention, whatever you want to call it. But so then he came out, and I had no money. I had nothing to pay him except for the fees that I was going to charge the people for this particular event. And it was going to have lunch. We had it at this Italian restaurant. They had a little spot in the back where it was a kind of a closed spot, and they had like 50 seats. So we had it, and it was a full, full class or a full presentation. All 50 seats were filled, and it, got me enough money for his plane ticket, for his fee, and also for the meal. And then it kind of got me thinking that, what people really want is education. Social is fine, but education is really what it was. And so that's kind of how this whole thing started, was that little, flippant response that I made. "Hey, great article. Would you like to come out? Be careful what you wish for, or not." But yeah, and then it's just been, kind of growing since.
I want to go back to you sending that letter, because I've done that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But how did you feel the moment you hit send on what basically was a fan letter that said, "Hey, this really resonated with me"? And then, so two feelings. How did you feel when you hit send? And then how did you feel when you got a response?
Well, so when I hit send, I didn't think anything. I just responded, and that was it. I was blown away when he responded, and it was kind of it was excitement along with fear, because I'm like, "Oh boy, I just committed myself to something that I don't know if I have the wherewithal to follow through with."
Wow. This'll tie back to conferences and festivals. So I went right before the pandemic. I went to Edinburgh Film Festival, and my two favorite films were Three Summers by Ben Elton and My Friend the Polish Girl. Those are my two favorite films of the entire festival. I reviewed both of them positively on my blog. I didn't have a podcast back then. I'm going through my emails one day, 6 months later, and I get an email from Ben Elton, one of my heroes. Ben Elton wrote The Young Ones, which was on BBC, but we saw it on MTV when I was growing up, and now he does Upstart Crow. But he had directed, and he goes, "I don't ever write letters in response to my reviews, but my wife is sitting in bed with the iPad reading the review, and I just wanted to say thank you." And so I got like a fan letter from one of my heroes, and I'm like, So I immediately like, hey, can I interview you for my blog? And he said yes. And then I had the same feeling like what you said was like, oh my goodness, now what am I going to do?
Yeah, what have I gotten myself into?
And so that was a festival connection. And then my friend, the Polish girl, the husband and wife, Uwe and Matus, the writer director team, they wound up coming and speaking at my university, flew in from England. Bob spoke there as well. Basically the same thing, because I raved about the themes of these two women in this film, and they're like, you really get it, you really appreciate what we were trying to do. We have to come to America anyway to go to Wake Forest. Can we come speak at your university? And I'm like, yes, of course you can. So we were the southern premiere of their film in my little town, and it was amazing. But it all sprung out of a festival, just like a conference, just like yours. And what stories do you have that where you saw people make those connections, and then, oh wow, look at this, now those two people are working together? Oh wow, I saw them at the festival 3 years ago, and now they've really connected, and now they're working on this.
One of the gentlemen, his name is Eugene Ward, and he's now an active conference member or committee member of our conference. But he started out as strictly a author, writer of books, and he saw our conference the first year, and he came aboard the first year, and he has now been writing screenplays, and he's always wanted to do that, but it was a conference that kind of got him motivated to do that.
I still communicate with him.
Good.
He's a tremendous human being, and I just think he's a terrific person. So it's nice to hear that.
Yeah.
But there have been other people that I know that Bill True is connected with people there. He's ended up doing projects with or having stuff, doing things with, and I know that Chris Lockhart is still communicating with some of the people that he met at your thing, and this conference has grown from a 1-day thing that had a few people at it to a two to maybe 3-day thing now.
2.5 day, yeah.
You're bringing in, you're premiering things, and you're having showrunners from series that are ongoing coming in and showing their pilot films, and then talking about how they got the show done, like you did this year.
Billy Luther.
The quality of the people that you have coming in, that you have the Lee Jessups and the Christopher, and Lockharts that recognize that what you're doing now is something significant in the screenwriter community. And I think that says a lot for you and the way that you've taken it upon yourself to do the lion's share of the work, because I've watched you do it. And
there's gray hair here.
It says a lot about that. Tell me about one of the most, screenwriting is singularly one of the most lonely individual writing things that a person can do. When you write a novel, you're writing it, and you know that there's a chance it's going to, even if you self-publish it, it has a chance of getting out there, and people might have a chance of reading it. When you write a screenplay, you're at the mercy of so many different people to get your writing seen and heard. Do you think, and it's very hard on people because the rejection rate is so high, and it's so tough to even get your screenplays read or noticed, or to get yourself noticed as a writer. It's very, very hard, and it's a singularly that a lot of people have to face by themselves. Tell me about how much your conference and your group helps people deal with their own fears and problems and all the things that they go to as they all network together and work out these things between them. And does it help people with, help people out? Um,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
does. Um, we have a monthly event that we put on called In the Works, Actors Reading Writers. Now, originally, it was where we would have actual actors reading 15 pages of the writer's work. Now it's writers and or actors. It's just harder to get actors where we are in Chandler versus where we were in Scottsdale. I guess the drive towards Scottsdale from where we are is easier if you're coming from Chandler or what have you than it is at 6 o'clock at night coming from Scottsdale the other way. So, but it has helped actually quite a few people. They have told me several times, some of the writers who go there on a regular basis, that hearing the feedback from people and hearing the feedback from the writers and just listening to the words read out loud gives them a just a different take on their work. And a lot of the feedback that they've given, that people have given, has allowed them to help make their work better. So that, I used to really question for a while, um, just how that particular event helps or not. But after hearing from several people that it has really helped their work, and some people have actually placed pretty high in uh, in screenwriting contests, the same work that they would bring on a regular basis to In the Works. The kind of the key with In the Works is the script has to be at least one draft done. It can't be, even though it says In the Works, it cannot be in the middle of working on it. It has to be at least one draft. We like it to be maybe 2 or 3 drafts in, but just because of the level of writer that's in Arizona versus maybe you might find in LA or you might find in other places, there's more amateur and just kind of weekend writers. There are a lot of serious ones too, but we get a lot of kind of people dipping their toes in the water, and so we've kind of backed off on like the expectation of the script, but going through our monthly table read helps. And I've had people, for person after person, tell me thank you for what you've put out here, because it's not, we don't have a lot of writing groups out here. I mean, we have novel groups, we have literature groups, but we don't have a lot of screenwriting groups. We have film groups that just cover a huge umbrella of film, and then sometimes they get into screenwriting. But we really are one of the main games in town for screenwriting. Um,
Ac- I actually wrote down, I was going to ask you, do you find when you said that you have these film groups, do you find compared to when you started that writers are more collaborative now or more hyphenate, that that they're also more DIY and they're going to do it themselves and they have friends who are filmmakers, or is it still lonely in Arizona?
no, I mean, I don't know if it's since starting I mean, this group has been going on since 2008 as a meetup group. Or sorry, 2009, and it's been a nonprofit since 2016. So I would say probably since 2008, nine, yeah, probably just with the ease of the equipment, and just with the amount of information that's out there, probably more people are willing to give it a shot than when I was in college. I mean, when I was in college, Spike Lee was out. Um, what's his name? They right after I had graduated, they did that movie Blair Witch Project. That was big for indie filmmakers, but it still is for the most part. Most writers, at least with our group, want to write, but we do have a fair amount that do also want to put on their own film. I mean, Tony, he's one of our longtime members. He writes and he directs, and he puts his own films together. He's done like 3 of them, and yeah. So, but I don't know if it's necessarily more. I mean, definitely not because of our group, but definitely I think just the time, just the time we're in with the ease of the equipment.
Oh yeah, when I first started, if you wanted to make a movie, you had to get a 16 millimeter camera
Mm-hmm.
or a 35 millimeter camera, and there
Yeah,
was all that cost of
yeah,
film and developing
yeah,
that was kind of tough to swallow.
yeah.
You mentioned your college years. So you went to Loyola, right?
Yes.
And I went to Loyola for an entire summer. I went to debate camp there. What a
Oh,
nerd I was. I was 17 years old. I flew first class for the first time in my life.
wow, that's
And
nice.
then took a taxi. Me and my debate partner, 2 17-year-old kids, took a taxi in LA to Loyola.
Oh, wow,
And it was wonderful. And we could only
Loyola's a
find
beautiful campus.
yeah, it's a
it
beautiful
is.
campus. We could only find one pizza place to eat, so we ate there like almost every day, and because it was within walking distance, because we didn't have a car. And but do you still stay in touch with your cohort? And what do they do?
Yeah, some of them I do. A couple of them actually. One lives here, and he was a film. I believe he was a film major, but he's now doing sound stuff. I mean, he was doing sound back then too. He's doing sound things, and he's also, I think, his wife has a hair salon that he helps out with as well. One of my other good friends, she is actually back in North Carolina now. She was from Ohio, but she's now living in North Carolina, and she's at a school. She's one of the professors or doing something with film and teaching there. Another one of my friends is still in LA, and I'm trying to get him to move out, but he's there. Just, but yeah, and he's more into writing now, which he was directing. I mean, he was a directing major. I worked with him on one of his, a couple of his short films. Yeah, but I don't keep in touch with too many. But like a lot of the ones that were pretty close that we'd go out, bar hopping, I keep in touch with. So
What what skill? Not and I'm not talking about the writing skills. I'm talking about the people skills that you gleaned while you were at Loyola. Do you see as founder and director of this nonprofit? Do any of those carry through? And because they made you who you were, those years made you who you are.
I think just the love of writing. I think, and that wasn't necessarily produced at Loyola. That was really what I've always had. I mean, I've always loved the written word. But skills that from my college days would probably perseverance. I mean, in school and in writing in general, you have to have perseverance. Otherwise, you'll just go to the nearest bar and just drop. But yeah, that would be the biggest thing because with this, you're facing rejection even with conference, right? You reach out to people who you like and who you want to have brought into either the conference or an event, and they don't respond, or their agent just no, 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 no. That's a common word that I hear a lot of.
Most writers do.
Yeah, yeah. How about we flip that around and yes, that would be a nice one to hear.
Yes.
But yeah, yeah, perseverance would probably be one of the biggest things that I learned at school.
How many people do you have now?
Depends. Well, so for the nonprofit, we have about 115 members, and it fluctuates. And then I say members, I mean paid membership. So it's like $40 a year. And with that, you get discounts on things. You get Stage 32 gives you a little discount on some of their stuff. Um, you get a discount from Script City if you spend $60 or more. You get 20 or like 15% off on the scripts. I know that there's a lot of scripts out there you get for free, but there's a lot of scripts that you think are scripts, but they're really transcripts. So they're not really the same,
No, no. I
and
get asked. I get asked all the time, especially at conferences like yours. People will say, "Hey, what's the difference between these?" And I said, "Well, what you've got there is a transcript. It's somebody watched the movie and wrote it down and put it up. That's not really the script." And they'll always ask me, "Do you have a real script?" And I will say yes. So I've literally, especially when I did the Hallmark ones, I've sent people real Hallmark scripts so they had a template and had something to look at. And I got a lot of people who really, really appreciated it
yeah,
from your group that were very that responded really positively and well. And I thought that was again,
yeah,
you have a really good group of people.
they are. They're hungry for the information, and even people who are not 100% on board with writing, that they're kind of not sure, or they just are kind of weekend writers, as I call them. They're still very dedicated to the group. Like I see a lot of regulars that have been around since the beginning that are still on.
Do you
You know,
think that part of that is because it's such a strong community?
yeah. I mean, I would say that I think the people in our group are very down to earth, and they're not. We've had people out in the past who are from LA, and they like to play the whole LA game where they'll trash people and they will be very harsh on scripts. Like this one person, and I'm not going to name names, came out once, offered to read people's scripts, but then would only read 10 pages and then, would charge them, but then would only read 10 pages and then and then say, well, if this is not, properly formatted or whatever, I'm not going to even go beyond 10 pages. And I'm like, but you're going to charge them for the full amount. Yeah. And we haven't done anything with them, but but there are people that are like that, and there are people here that have kind of the attitude of like, well, you have to be harsh on people in order to seem like you are, like what you're talking about. And
You just have to
it's
be honest. You just have to be honest with people.
yeah,
You can still tell people the truth, but point out the positive things that they're doing
mhm.
too. You can
And
point out
yeah,
all the things they're doing right, and then if they're doing some things that are detrimental to getting their script sold, then you talk about those
mhm.
things and tell them, explain to them why those things are detrimental and how they can improve it and make it better. But you don't just say this sucks. And I've watched
Yeah,
people do that,
yeah.
and I don't understand it. If you're going to
Well, it's
be
just
in the
ego.
in the if you're going to critique things and you want to be you want to be treated the way you want other people to, you want to
Yeah,
treat people the way that you want to be treated yourself, and you don't have to be a jerk, you know. And I've never been able to understand that.
It's just the mentality, and I think it's really a lower level mentality, like a lower, like you've got different tiers of LA, and I think the lower tiers are the ones where they treat you like like dirt, because the upper ones don't, because they know.
And there's reasons why they're at that level, and how ironic is it that the big egos have the lowest self-confidence, and so the harshest critics, without reason, without explanation, without the truthful here's how you can do better, that's because they don't have confidence in their own ability to give critique.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
right.
sometimes they're doing it. Sometimes they're doing it for the wrong reason. It's just about money.
It's why when you're in a writing group, like go back to Loyola, when you were in a writing group, sometimes the quietest, meekest person had the most incisive note, and there's the plot hole, right? But it was the little quiet girl that taught you that, not Mr. Know-it-all sitting in the corner.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yep.
That's how it
It's
works.
absolutely true. I'm a big fan of writers groups. There's a big one here. The Nashville Screenwriters Association is got over 100, maybe closer to 200 people in it, and I know there are writers groups all over the country, and I really am a big fan of people being able to share not only their writing, but share their fears and insecurities, and share their rejections with other people, so that they can hear those other people say, "Look, it happens to everybody, and it's not personal. It isn't about you. It's for whatever reason the people reject what you have on the words you have on your page." So I think a community like you've done a big service to people who are screenwriters in the Phoenix area that you ought to be commended for. I really do.
Thank you. I
Great
appreciate that.
That's
do.
high praise.
Yeah.
Before you go, you're going to give our viewers a call to action. Before you do that, where'd this baking stuff come? You friended me on Facebook. You're like a master baker, and there's some metaphor there about putting all these ingredients together, just like when you put a conference together, right? But you can tell, like when your friends share stuff that they made, oh yeah, that's nice. But you can tell you really know what you're doing.
Oh
Well,
no, listen, we've had conversations about baking. He and I have. So yeah, talk about this.
baking actually started about 2 years ago. My nana, always, or she gave me some of her recipes, like her sauce and stuff. But and I've made gnocchi before. I've made different stuff before, but I was never into it. I don't know. It's just one day I just woke up and I'm like, I want to learn how to make this. And I started with cannoli of all things. I can't make a doggone cookie, but I can make a cannoli. I don't know how that works, but it
Which
just
are much more difficult to make.
yeah, and it also is dangerous too, because the oil. You've got to, you're boiling oil and you're putting this stuff in, and let me tell you, after two or three, everything gets really greasy. And if you're not monitoring the oil heat, things starts to explode or like pop. And if you've got any dogs or any kids around, or even if your foot is there and gets a little bit of oil on it, it hurts. The very first time that I did it, I burned my foot because just a tiny spot because some oil dripped right on my foot and went right through my sock. But it's to me, it's like baking is a lot like the creative. I mean, it's the creative process. You have these ingredients and you're putting them together. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. When they work is wonderful, but it's instantaneous gratification because somebody is always willing to taste your food unless they know that you're a horrible cook and they're not going to taste it. But try to get somebody to constantly read your work. It's a lot harder to do that. It's much easier to say, hey, try this cannoli or try this biscotti. It's really good.
I read your work.
Yes. Yes, you have. And thank you. You'll probably like the biscotti more. I'll just send some over.
There's another commonality there too, in that same ingredients with 3 different people. One's going to be average, one's going to be fantastic, and one's going to be meh, right? Well,
Yeah.
that's the same like when people are like, I can't share my log line because I'm afraid someone's going to steal it. No, the 3 of us could take the same log line. We're going to write 3 different scripts. It's probably going to be, depending on the quality of the log line, it's going to be 3 different stories. And but they're not going to be the same. So people shouldn't be afraid to share
But it's
like
just
that.
like the ingredients. I mean, I tried an ingredient for a cookie, for just a chocolate chip cookie. Twice, it turned out not good. I went to the ingredients with Nestle, with their chocolate chip cookies, and it turned out much better. So there was something about even the ingredients, even like the log line, right? So it's to me, it's you have to be very well, at least with baking, you have to be very precise. If they say 3/4 of a cup, you've got to measure that. 3/4 of a cup. Too much, too little, it's not going to be the same.
Cooking is feeling. Baking is science.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's why my wife doesn't like to bake. She likes to cook. I like to cook and bake when I have, when I have the time. I've been doing more and more. But yeah, so it's just another creative outlet that has a little more instantaneous response.
Wonderful. All right, so that's your call to action. You're going to tell everyone to go cook some or bake something.
So what I would like to do with a call to action. So I would love to be able to reach out to the writing community and have them help us with next year's conference, donations, sponsorships. We're going to be relying a lot more on our community than we are on the grants this year. Again, it may be okay. I mean, we have other grants that we're working with. Getting grants is a lot of a personal relationship that you have with people that a lot of people don't know. And I didn't know this until we started working on grants, that, if you don't know the people who are running the grants, sometimes you're not going to get in, with that source. Some are, they're more competitive grants, which means that they're open to everybody. But yeah, so I would love to appeal to the people out in the writers world that we are going to be needing some assistance financially this year for the 2026 conference. So
Let me leave you with some encouragement. So the same thing happened here with Humanities Tennessee, and my business partner and I, we wrote Right Anyway together, Emily Brooks. We did Southern Festival of Books last year, and it was fantastic. Well, half of the money to run Southern Festival of Books came from a grant. The other half came from private investment, right? So that was gone.
Yeah.
So that 2 million went to 1 million. And so within a day, within 24 hours, Ann Patchett, who owns Parnassus Books, the author, said, I'll match for the next 72 hours. I'll match private donations. And I don't want anyone to give over $20. And in 24 hours, they hit that first benchmark. Didn't even need the whole 72 hours. And then she went and matched it. And then the Mellon Foundation, who was already a big supporter, said, well, since you all hit Ann's challenge, we'll keep it going. And I think the last time I looked, it was still going, right? And so they are still matching these little $20, $50, I shouldn't call them little. These $20, $50, $10 donations, and Southern Festival Books went from, oh, we're gonna have to cancel it, to, no, we got it. We're not gonna have to cancel it, right? Just that fast.
Wow.
And will they have the whole 2 million? Maybe not, but they won't have to cut. The people attending won't be able to tell the difference.
Wow. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
That's
so it can happen. Just every person, $20.
I mean, we'll have some of the money from ticket sales, but our budget this year is going to be around 60. That's what we're estimating right now for the budget, and so yeah, it's just and we're still in the early stages right now of it.
Does it help when people join the $40 thing you said, or is that a
Yeah.
separate bucket?
Well, I mean, that is a separate bucket, but we are gonna, our own group's going to give 5,000, or our own organization is going to give 5,000 to the conference. But yeah, it just just any amount, and any amount helps. Our website, you go down to the sponsorship page, and down at the bottom there's a little donate. Or if you want to be a sponsor, you can do that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. This has really been a wonderful experience. This is my first experience actually doing this. So
We have had so many people so there's two different types of people. One who tell us ahead of time, oh, I'm so nervous, this is my first podcast. But then there's other people like you admitted it at the end. There was no evidence that you're a first timer. None. You can't tell.
I knew that you would be super.
Thank you.
You're my friend, and you're also just an amazing person to put all this stuff together and do this as a part of a writing community, because writers need that kind of community. They need to know that there are other writers that are going through what they're going through, and as a group, it makes it so much easier. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it does. It takes a village to write anything. It really does, because it's not just about writing; it's about the support and supporting the support. That's the other side of it too.
Alrighty. Thank you. This has been
All right.
wonderful.
Yeah. Well,
You weren't boring. You promised you wouldn't be boring, and you were not boring.
You were not boring. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate this.
Man, not only is he like good at what he does, he's just an interesting guy, right? He's just an interesting person.
Yeah, we have spent a few evenings at the conference just talking with each other about life and family and baking and whatever else came up. It was good. I want to talk to you about a call for action, though. I was hoping he would do a call for action and you can't always. I mean, you don't know what other people are going to do, but I want to do a call. Since this is my last one, I'd like to do not my last one ever, but my last one co-hosting with you. I think that I would like to have people, no matter what they're doing, whether it be screenwriting or poetry or nonfiction or fiction, go and look on the worldwide interweb and see if there are writing groups in the area where you live. And if there are, make an effort to check them out and see what they're doing. And maybe you'll find a group of people that you can have a lot in common with, meet some new friends, and meet people who will help you learn to be a better writer. So my call to action is to go out and stretch yourself a little bit and see if you can find writers groups with your interests that are in your area. How's that, John?
That's wonderful. I want to add something to that. And if there's not one, start one, man. That's what he did.
Yeah, and it's true. There wasn't one, and so he started it. He took that extra step out there and started one.
I'll also say that, and I'm going to point out a couple of other examples, but he did something very wise that Bill does at WriterCon, and that Amy and Sarah and Maddie, hi y'all, at Writer Fest in Nashville do is they have their monthly meetup, which he talked about, right?
Yeah.
But they always have something going on. So it's not just a conference that you go to once a year,
No.
but
There's
it
always
can
something.
be.
Well,
But
the Tennessee Screenwriting Association does the same thing.
so there's things that you can do, like in the case of Writer Fest in Nashville, they'll be editing things this week, and then 2 weeks from now there'll be meet these agents things, and then 2 weeks from there there'll be write about this thing, and there's always something going on socially with a mob of people, and then the yearly event like turns into you already know everyone from all the things, or I don't want to exclude anyone new because there are new people there too, but they're like, oh, I remember, like my Tisha, who's going to be on a future episode, or maybe she's already been on, depending on what the continuity of this is. But I've known her from Oklahoma City and from Writer Fest in Nashville, and so you just run into the same people at these same events, and you start to learn who the quality people are, and then you learn to avoid some people too.
Tennessee Screenwriter Association does something weekly. And then
Weekly?
once a month they do this last month they had a writer's room writer from the TV series Will Trent, and she came and spoke to them about had a Saturday thing where that she came and did a whole thing. So yes, it isn't just a group that's active once a year with a big conference. It's an ongoing group that meets weekly or biweekly and does and gets together, and it's a community, and I'm all for it. Go find one. Hey, Jon Meyers.
Yes. You have my
How
attention.
Huh?
You have my attention.
Do I get to ask you a question?
You do. Then I'm not going to know the answer, you said.
You are not. When was the waterbed invented?
Dude, we've actually talked about this. This is so weird. Was it with you? I've had this conversation. So first of all, I'm going to guess, but I don't know the answer offhand. But I've literally had this conversation before. I'm having deja vu. This is so weird. I'm going to guess. Just because Heather Blanton was on, I'm going to say 1780.
3600 BC.
Oh.
By the Persians, who filled goat skins with water for royalty to sleep on.
Yeah, that's how they still do it. That's how, if you have a waterbed now, that's how they do it now.
Goat skins? I don't think so. Unless goat skin is vinyl.
Wow.
Yeah, 3600 BC.
They're all the episodes blend together because this is, I don't know, 67 or 68 or whatever. But that number's gonna be wrong. But we've had a waterbed conversation. But no, that's a new fact. I did not know the goat skin 3600 BC part of it.
Isn't that something?
Why?
Why not? So that the royalties weren't sleeping on straw.
Is that so?
Yeah,
it was only for the royal.
That's what mattresses were back then. They were, straw or so even if there was fabric, it was filled. Well, I don't know if there was fabric in 30s. Yeah, there probably was. But
how did you learn that?
Huh?
How did you learn that?
I am very resourceful.
Did the Amish furniture guy teach you that?
No, Amish furniture guy did not teach me that. But they're coming on Friday to deliver something. So
what?
I'll ask him.
What are they delivering on Friday?
Some more furniture.
I want to know what though. What pieces?
A sofa.
Oh, the one you talked about, or a different one?
A new sectional.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, I will allow it. You moved the piano, you said that, but as long as my chair's still there,
Your chair is not going anywhere. I promise.
Okay. That's all I'm worried about.
So, I guess we should ring a bell.
I
Hey.
threw you a curveball.
I know. Should ring a bell, and we should say that
It's a
if you
different
like
bell.
these episodes and you like what you hear and you want to know more about them and you want to know when they happen, you should subscribe and hit the little subscribe button and then hit the little bell icon, because if you do that, then you'll get notification of new things that come out on Write Better Together, which is probably a really good thing for you to do.
Especially the like part.
Yes.
I want them to like me personally.
You know, you say that every week.
I want people to like me every week.
I think that's a lovely thing to want. I do.
But don't be a people pleaser. That would not be healthy.
Yeah, well, I've never been accused of that. So, all right, have you got a game for me?
I do. You have to say the words.
This is the final act.
Your final act.
I hope not.
When you're a guest, we let you play the game because you love it so much. Today, I promised that I would put your past. I would put your past to work.
I just put all my notes. I put all my notes away. I'm done.
Today, you will be.
Wait a second. Somebody's wandering over.
Oh, I heard the jingling. I thought Rocket was ringing his own bell.
Yeah, he rang his own bell. Hi, kiddo. What are you doing?
Rocket,
All right, hold on.
he heard last episode, and there's no way he was going to be left out. Winnie was on. Oh my goodness! Look at that haircut.
Yes. You got
Rocket.
a haircut.
Rocket, you're so handsome with your new haircut.
Yeah, he got a haircut.
Is Rocket going to help you win this game?
Oh, I don't think so.
All right.
Go back and lie down, kiddo.
Thanks for showing Rocket. And then Emily's had her Winnie, her dog on. Stephanie has not shown Maze, her dog. All right. Today you'll be playing for Rob Delaney's book. You know Rob Delaney, an actor, comedian. His book, Mother, Wife.
Do you have an extra one?
No, there's a reason why, actually. But Mother, Wife, Sister, Human, Warrior, Falcon, Yardstick, Turban, Cabbage. The best book title ever. He was voted Twitter's most funniest comedian. How about that?
He is pretty funny.
Yeah, and he is on Deadpool 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine. So, Sergeant Hoskins from Nash Bridges.
Yes.
On all of the episodes you did a lineup, I'm sure, right?
Yes.
Didn't you have to? Yeah, you had to do a lineup, right? Well,
I was one of the fake people in the lineup. Yes.
Oh, so the Sergeant Hoskins didn't run the lineup and go, "Can you do?"
Well, I did run lineups too, but there was one episode where I was actually in the lineup.
Oh, were you Sergeant Hoskins running the lineup, and you were also one of the people in the lineup?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't running
Right.
the lineup.
So the continuity of the show is all crazy and wacky, but what people don't know is that Bob has had a zebra running around in his neighborhood recently, and it ran.
No, not just a zebra, a bear too.
A bear and a zebra, but they caught the zebra yesterday morning, and just in time for me to totally change the game that I was going to do involving the zebra. So now that he's caught, I had to change the game, and so Sergeant Hoskins here's them catching the wonderful little zebra, and everyone loved him.
Yes, they put him on a helicopter and wheeled him off.
Correct. They took him home to Home Sweet Home. So today, for Rob Delaney's book,
Believe it or not, that was my neighborhood. It was not far from here.
I know. So today, I have as Sergeant Hoskins. I have a lineup here, and I'm going to present to you a real zebra and 2 horses painted as if they are zebras. And you are going to pick out which one is the real one, which is the real zebra.
So this is to tell the truth. Right?
Which is the real Ed. So there's the first one. Look, I made a real lineup and everything.
Okay.
There's the second one. There's the third one. One of those is a zebra. One is a horse painted to look like a zebra. You want to ask any of them questions, Sergeant
No, the
Hoskins?
first one is the zebra.
The first one is the zebra?
Yeah.
How did you come to that conclusion? I can't just let you go get away with that.
Because the other two look like horses that are painted like zebras, and the first one looks like a zebra. You can tell by their nose.
Well, first of all, you're wrong.
Oh.
And so I will reveal that. Here's the first one, and there you go. It was just a horse all along, painted to look like a zebra. Now you're down to 2. Would you like to try again?
No.
Too bad. You got to try again.
All right, number 3.
So this one.
Yeah.
All right. Ding, 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 ding. You are correct. That was the real zebra. Just so you know, I'm not cheating. There's number 2. He was just a horse painted to look like a zebra.
Can I ask you a question? Did you paint these horses to look like zebras?
Of course. If you were Emily, her response is, I didn't know we had that kind of budget.
You're a sick man, Jon Meyers.
All right. So here's how you really tell the difference. I'll teach you something. First of all, only one of them was male, but we won't talk about that.
Do they want water? Do they like waterbeds?
They like waterbeds. But see this tail? A zebra tail is like tight up against the body, and then it's a tuft. It's called a tufted tail, and it tufts out, as opposed to a horse tail. This is almost like that, more of a mane. So that's how you tell the difference. If you're in the dark and you can't see, or you just want to,
I don't want to be that close to zebras.
You want to pull on their tail. That's how you can tell.
Zebras are nasty. They can kill you.
Ed was wonderful. He was peaceful, and he enjoyed his hammock ride across Tennessee to his home, and everyone lived happily ever after. So you got. I don't know if you win the book or not.
No, I don't. You keep the book.
So why did I give you this book for that game?
Because it said zebra on it. I have no idea.
There's a zebra on the back cover. Oh my gosh. What are the odds that I would have a book in my to be read pile that had a zebra on the back cover? Rob Delaney is a genius. He saw that coming 12 years ahead of time.
He is. I've never seen anything so amazing in my
He
entire
knew.
life.
He put that zebra on the back cover 12 years ago just because he knew he'd be playing this game today. Aren't you glad he didn't bring Baggy back out for your final guest host stint?
I'm very glad.
I did not bring Baggy back out. I should get.
John,
I should win a prize.
This last 6 weeks has been a pleasure. It's been so much fun. Emily, everybody missed you, even though you were living in my house
with salmon in your pocket.
But being able to fill in while you did mommy duty was an honor and a pleasure, because you're a quality human being and you're going to be a great mom. So I was very happy to do this.
I agree with all of those words. Okay, say the thing. We
couldn't have
done it without you.